Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another deeply transformative conversation inside Audacious. Today, I have the absolute honor of sitting down with a woman whose story is nothing short of extraordinary. Judy B is a master of energetic sovereignty, quantum manifestation, and wealth expansion. But what makes her story so powerful isn't just her expertise, is the way that she embodies her teachings. She's someone who has transcended the unthinkable circumstances, reclaimed her power, and now leads others in breaking free from the energetic and generational patterns that keep them small. Her story is one of pure audacity, the courage to rewrite fate and say no to limitations and to step into a reality where miracles, wealth, and freedom are not just possible, but inevitable. Judy, I'm so grateful to have you here. Welcome to Audacious.
Thank you so much. It's so beautiful and wonderful to be here with you. Thank you. And your name, Shazad, is just so gorgeous and so romantic. Love it.
Thank you. I received that. Thank you so much. But before we begin, there's so much that I want to ask you, but I would love to start with your story because the way that you chose to break free from your story and redefine your destiny is just so, so exceptional. So, can you take us back to the moment that you had to make a decision and step into the unknown and claim a different future for yourself?
Oh, that's going back a while. That's going back many years to when I was about 15 years old or thereabouts. It was like a moment of complete and utter surrender after being locked up and abused since I was a toddler, about 3 years old, and used as a slave and chronically, heinously abused and tortured. And it got to a point where I was living every single day just because my heart beat. I felt like a piece of meat. I was worth nothing. I meant nothing. And at nighttime, I would go to sleep asking and begging, please stop beating, so I wouldn't have to wake up. But um, but what that did at about 14 or 15 years old, what that did is it allowed me to completely surrender. And in the process of complete surrendering and not giving up and letting go surrender, but surrendering of just surrender, just like release, sort of surrender. What is out there? What's this? What is going? Just when in that process of surrender, just asking the bigger question, what's this all about?
Mhm.
And in the process, after a night of the most horrendous torture that went on throughout the night, at about 7-ish in the morning, it was a cold November morning in Dublin, Ireland. I walked into the bathroom, I walked over to the mirror, and it was like the first time I'd ever seen myself. And as I looked in the mirror, I saw, and looked beyond my eyes, and I sort of felt I was reaching in through my body, and I grabbed something in my solar plexus that for a long time I named as my something. And now, at the time, because at the time I wasn't educated, I was locked up from society, I didn't get to go to school, I had very limited language, could hardly read and write. And that for years I called it my something, and what I now know to be my essence, my core, my whole being, right? Beyond that, which is this body. And the connection that I made to my something literally transported me out of my body, and I felt I was outside. And I was outside and I was looking in, and I felt one with everything. I was one with the trees, one with the birds, one with the grass. I think there was like the smell of grass being cut somewhere. There was just this oneness of the oneness with the rain on the window, everything. I wasn't cold. I was just this awe of the most extraordinary moment. And the next moment I felt this experience, sensation that words do not ever come close to explaining. But it was this sensation of the most exquisite, beautiful, divine, unconditional love that wrapped around me. And as I felt that, I looked at this girl, scrawny kid, who at times was so hungry she just had to revert to eating dog food, tins of dog food. So this scrawny kid looking at herself in the mirror, and in that moment there was this instantaneous wholeness, healing from everything I'd experienced, everything I was going through, and everything I was yet to go through. This just this complete wholeness into the ever-present moment of exquisite divinity. And it was magnificent. And I remember coming back into my body, like, okay, that was weird. And like the first thoughts that I had was absolute certainty that I would escape. Because when I was in that space, I saw the primordial field. I saw the field of all that is, and I was it. There was no separation. And I saw that everything is there for me, is me. Everything is me. This torture is me, but so is love, prosperity, and adventure, me. And I latched on to those things, and I knew that's what my life would be. And as my first thoughts as I came back into my body was that I will escape. I had no doubt. I didn't question it. I didn't say, but how? Nothing. What would it be like? How would it? Nothing. Just I knew with an absolute certainty I would escape. And I also knew, and this is really weird in context, but the absolute exquisite experience I just had, as I turned to walk out the bathroom, I had these ideas, or these thoughts that came to my head, or these awarenesses that came through, that when I escaped, I would get a job in shipping, merchant banking, stockbroking, or oil and gas. Now, how random is that? All right, considering, like, very corporate-y, considering the beautiful experience I just had, I had no idea what it meant. I didn't know what a stockbroker was. I didn't know what is a merchant bank? I knew what a bank was. What's a bank? I had no idea what these words meant. But from that moment on, I knew one thing, that no thing, no one can rob me of my eternal presence and peace and joy and happiness. And no matter what happened in my environment, I still had that connection to absolute, the most extraordinary joy, which was more real, more valuable, more potent, more expansive than anything we could ever experience in our environment. It took another 6 years for me to escape. But during that time, I immersed myself into learning all sorts of things. I taught myself to read, to write. I taught myself about business, about economics, about money, about all sorts of things. And I did escape about 6 years later. Again in a November night, in the middle of the night, and I left Dublin and I arrived in London. I knew I had to leave the country. If I didn't leave the country, I'd be tracked down and brought back. So I arrived in London. And again, Friday night, November, cold, raining, knew no one, had nothing, knew nothing, unsocialized. But I knew, and I was confident, I absolutely knew that this was the beginning of the most extraordinary journey. Within 1 week, I had a job, 2 job offers, one in shipping and one in oil and gas, earning a lot of money. And I took the one in oil and gas. And they are 2 of the biggest, not only audacious moments in my life. That was just extraordinary. To be free, living in London with money and work and trust. Because I remember walking into the office and there was this metal thing on what was to be my desk. Turned out to be a computer. And I'd never seen a computer before. But with the experience that I had had, the awareness that I embodied is that I am the all that is. This computer, this everything is not separate to me. So I managed to do the work. I managed to do what I needed to do. And within a few days, I was sending our positions reports every day of our details of the positions we were holding to the chairman in New York every single day. And it was just extraordinary.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I have chills all multiple times. I had chills all over my body. Thank you for sharing your story. As heart-wrenching as it is, just seeing how you navigated it and where you are, where 6 years later, where you were, and then where you are now. It just, I have so much awe and respect for you. And thank you for sharing that. Judy, what do you think happened? Like, how did you, the girl so young, looks at herself in the mirror and reaches something and has this and I, as you were saying it, it's not words can't describe it, but I know what you mean when I am one with grass and with the torture and the light and all of it. I get it, but then what do you think brought you to that moment?
I think, and this is key, and it was a key learning. Now it's very much key in the work that I do, is that for the first number of years in my life, I was also deaf, right? So I was completely isolated from the world as well. And it was a psychosomatic, it was a shut off from the world. And I'll never forget the first time the first thing I heard was when I was about 12, somewhere between 10 and 12, it was birds. And I think I didn't take on a lot of the beliefs and programming and conditioning that so many children do when they're growing up with parents and schools and all that sort of stuff. And so when I was going through those experiences, I was able to completely surrender and not apply a meaning to it. And this is what's led to a lot of the core element of what I do in my work, is that when we strip away all of the noise, all of the energetic interference, the programming and the conditioning, what is left is our truth. And we move on that truth in the highest frequencies. We do not entangle with duality. We do not waste time aligning and agreeing, resisting and reacting. We emerge as the truest essence of our frequency that we connected to the moment of our first breath. That's the thing. And for me, I didn't apply all those meanings. It just is what it is. It is what it is. And when I just surrendered, I let go of, like, I felt like a piece of meat. I felt like I let go of just wanting my heart to stop beating. I just let it all go. Just let it all go. And what emerged was the most extraordinary awareness, connection. And we don't have to go to the end of the road to experience it. When you clear all the noise that's not you, not yours, the points of views, the interference, the programming, the construct of decaying, of body aging, all of that stuff, when you let all that go, you experience this magnificent divinity of self. And you realize that there is no separation. There's no searching, no seeking, no efforting. There's no separation. That's the magic. And this is what's led me to my unconventional perspectives. I have a lot of unconventional perspectives that go against all the narratives in the personal development world, psychology world, and self-help. And one of them is that it's not the event that happens to you that creates the trauma, it's the narrative we apply to it. When we clear that away, you realize that during the experience, no matter how bad it is or how not bad it is, doesn't matter. Scale doesn't matter. The universe doesn't understand scale, right? It doesn't understand the difference between 1 cent or $1 million or $1 billion. It doesn't understand that, okay? So it doesn't matter about the scale. But when we experience something, what happens is you have no choice but to move inward and rely on self. Self, the one that is the all, not part of the all, but is the all. Big difference. Is the all. When you come back into that, because you've got no option. There's nothing outside of you. You cannot touch anything. No one's there to help you. Nothing. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's a car accident, abuse, whatever it is, a financial loss, whatever it is. When you in that moment, we all connect into that moment. In that split second moment, we connect into our truth. And the best analogy that I can come up with and articulate for it is that you are blind and then you see. And in that moment, that connection, that moment, and you move on it, you navigate it, you empowered in it, you survive it, you thrive it, whatever it is, you overcome it. You're not killed, you're not destroyed, you move on. But it's the next moment that we apply a narrative to it that creates the corruption and distortions, and that's what creates hell on earth.
That is so potent. And that was going to be my next question, and maybe that you can deepen that, because you said that trauma is the narrative that we give it after that. And so for someone who right now feels trapped by trauma, they feel like, because this happened to me, I'm defined by it. Because this happened to me, I'm trapped in this cycle. So I heard what you said about, you break free from that narrative and that meaning that you give it. But I know one of my least favorite questions is how, but then I can hear the audience say, well, how? How do I have that experience? How do I get rid of all that noise and the meaning that I gave the trauma that happened to me?
I acknowledge that it is a challenge for us, right? One of the reasons why it is a challenge for people to do this, not impossible. I have a whole cosmic tribe of clients who have done it, or in the process of doing it and experiencing it, and they're amplifying it and navigating the way. So I know it's doable, right? It's doable and it's duplicable. Not just because I did it, not because I'm a unicorn. It is possible. But one of the things that one of the things that happens to us when we apply a meaning or a narrative to an experience, it starts to create our identity, or it creates an identity of itself. And the problem is the issue with that, or the challenge with that, is that we are living as humanity with hundreds of different identities, many, sometimes thousands of different identities, right? And if you've been through trauma or experienced trauma, the chances are you have an identity around that. And that identity is what I call is an energetic interference, because it then runs you. You're not running yourself. You're not autonomous. You're not sovereign in body and being. So it's running you. So whatever the construct is that is living by is what is pulling you along. You're not autonomous. So you're in service to this identity. Does that make sense? Yes. So you're an identity of a bad mom, or a woman who has experienced trauma. So what does that mean? You apply all the meanings to it, and then the more the meanings you apply to it is how you behave. And the more identities we have, the more distant we feel that we are from our truth. So we feel like a void, we feel empty, we feel like we've got imposter syndrome, and all of that sort of stuff. That's only the distance. And here's the thing, here's how identities work. And this is something that David Hawkins speaks a lot about. What happens is that when we get an awareness, because we're always connected to the infinite, because we are the all that is, no separation. So we're getting awareness all the time, right? Because the body is a cosmic receiver. The body is the most exquisite, most profoundly magical part of our experience in this life. So our body is getting all this awareness all the time. But the challenge is we have 1/10,000th of a second before one of the identities claim authorship of it. And the moment an identity claims authorship of it, that's running the show. It's like one of the masks. You as your autonomous being is no longer running the show. That's telling you how to feel. That's telling you what to think. That's telling you how to move and what to move and how to effort and all that. And a large part of how this happens for us, and we allow all these identities, one of the key parts of this is that we are programmed to suffer, based on the fact that we deified suffering 5,000 odd years ago. We deified suffering. And over the years and over the decades, centuries and generations and decades, that has become part of our DNA. That's why we choose the hard route, not the easy route. That's why we believe things are hard and not effortless. We are the all that is. What is effortless? What is effort? Sorry. When we are the all that is, what is it? I can identify with struggle as much as I can identify with flow. I can identify with abundance as much as I can identify with lack. I get to choose. But because we're programmed to suffer, we'll always gravitate to that which is hard. And that includes giving the identities the power to run us. The good news is that you can clear that programming. It's not inevitable, it's not our destiny, it's not our truth. Anything that's not our truth can be cleared. Because the thing is, nothing is more powerful than what I call the trilogy of being that we are, body, being, and planet. There's nothing more powerful than that. No conditioning, no programming, no identities, nothing more powerful than this. Therefore, everything that's not more powerful than this can be cleared. Everything. Everything is energy, and everything can be cleared so that your truth can emerge, so your essence can emerge, your energetic blueprint of all that you are here to experience with this trilogy of being can emerge sovereign, autonomous, flow, living in the highest frequencies of love, compassion, empathy, gratitude, and appreciation, where you're not entangling in the dirt and the stress and the muck of duality.
So powerful. So powerful. And something that I wasn't planning to ask you this, but it's coming through. I heard it a few times, like, ask Judy this. And it is, Judy, if I am one with everything, if I'm all of it, then what was the point of human experience of being in this body, being Sharzad Parande in this world? Why?
That's a really big question and a really beautiful question. I'm going to give a snippet of it, okay? So we are the all that is. We are the all. We are the all, right? I am the all. You are the all. Everyone listening to this is the all. This version of this trilogy of being, body, being, and planet that this is a facet of the diamond of the all. Okay, so it's a facet. We're here to experience duality. We're here to experience moving beyond and transcending duality, to amplify awareness for the all. And we're talking about the all, not the all it's in the 8 to 9 billion people, but the all that is. There is no mistake that everything in this planet is foundationally driven by duality. Everything. It's impossible to get away from it. Impossible, right? In the world of matter. Energetically, we can. Energetically, when we transcend the entanglement of it, we do, and that's where we're stable in higher frequencies of love, on truth. Because in the frequency of truth is the frequency of unity, is the frequency of our truth. And in that is love, compassion, empathy, gratitude, and appreciation. But everything below that, any lower frequency than that is in the frequency of duality. And that includes the identities that we adopt. So for example, let's go back to the identity of somebody who's gone through trauma and abuse and all that sort of stuff, and they identify as that. You will have the equal and opposite identity to that. You have to. You will have the person that is, I am powerful, I am a successful person, and I am fighting for my freedom, and I'm going to be free, and I'm going to kill that person and do this and do that and do the other. All that. You will have the exact opposite identity. And again, this amplifies the suffering and the torture as we navigate through life, because you've got those two identities fighting for power. This is why one day you will wake up and you'll feel empowered and you'll feel like, I've got this, right? Because that identity, that powerful identity that is counteracting the victim identity, is up front. It's present. It is the one that's leading the show today, or this minute, or the next hour, or the next 5 hours. And then next minute, next hour, next 5 hours, next day, next month, whatever it is, the victim mentality will show up and it will lead the show. Do you see what I'm saying? We've got these thousands of identities that we're running around life with, and every single one of them has got the exact opposite. So we're like bouncing around all over the place, and we're wondering, like, we do something amazing. We create something magical. because in that moment we were so attuned and we didn't allow the identity to hijack that, and we moved on it and we created. Oh my gosh, I just had $100,000 month. Now one of the identities jumps in and it tries to recreate it, but you cannot. Does that make sense?
It's so profound, and I want to go more and more and more, but I think this is something that someone needs to be in your world to really come, like really go there. That is so, so incredibly beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. Yes. Like there is things that I feel in my body as you're saying, and that's when I know like I'm hearing like what's true for me. So absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about generational stuff, generational and energetic patterns, because if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the biggest limitations that we feel is that we are also, it's not just our own stuff, but we also inherit and we're passed down through our generations the things that we experience as suffering or whatever limitations that we have. So how do we begin releasing those deep-seated patterns and stepping into that true freedom?
Yeah, we do inherit a lot of the patterns and interference energies from parents and ancestors and stuff, but also equally we inherit all of the collective interference as well. So that as much as as that which we inherit from parents, right? But in my model of the world, how we work is somebody says something, right? Whatever you say in the known, whatever the thoughts are, 99.9999999% of the time, they're based on interference and not even yours. So it's being able to identify what's truly mine and what's not. And your body never lies. Your body will always tell you when you think something, when you believe something. Or like I had a client who grew up believing he inherited his dad's bad chest, right? And inherited his dad's bad chest, and so he always got coffee and chesty in winter and wet weather and all that. So I looked at him and said, well, is that yours or something else? Well, it's not his. Well, then why are you holding it? Clear it out. So you clear it out of your system. You clear it. And when this particular occasion, we were at a retreat, actually, where it was, because this year I've got so many retreats with clients. We were in the UK at a retreat, and I work with my husband, and we work together a lot with clearing clients. And so said to Sean, okay, well, do you want to clear that? Oh, yeah, clear, yeah, please. Be great. Sure, cleared, gone, straight away, instantaneous, gone, and it's not come back. And I say to him now, so did you inherit that from your father's bad chest? And he looked at me, and it's alien to him that he ever even thought that. Wow. Alien. He cannot relate to it. He just can't relate to it. He's just like saying, I just can't connect to that. I can't. It just feels. It's not like, oh yeah, I remember that. He can't. He can't imagine it because it was never his, and it's cleared from his field. And everything can be done like that. Everything. Anything that's not you, not yours, is clearable energetically. It's my work. This is what I do, is clear people back to the essence of their truth. That is the blueprint of their birth. And that is what you're here to experience and live. And anything that's not that, not you, not yours, gets to be obliterated from your field, so that you move, you've what I call harmonized trilogy of being, body, being, and planet, where the body is the cosmic receiver of all information, all awareness, because awareness is our number one language, not the words that we speak, awareness. And we move on that awareness, and then we activate the brain, not the other way around. As Einstein said, we've promoted the brain to master, when in actual fact, it's just our servant.
Wow. That is, I can only imagine the freedom that that person must have felt, like especially when something that you really believed about yourself and that is true about you, and then it's gone. It's so freeing. Is that where the freedom codes came from? Is that the essence of it?
Yeah, that's, because when you will always know, you always know. You think you don't know, but you always know what is your truth. Always know.
Mm.
When you start clearing away what some people say is like masks just falling away with the identities, the programming, the conditioning, what your truth is emerges. And that is flow, that is ease, that is expansive, that is creative, that is where we create, we lead, we are the one, and the magic happens, the miracles happens, the collapsing time and space, the refractory period between the thought and the experience collapses completely. It's just, that's the magic.
That's the magic that comes after that breaking free, the clearing the interference. Is that so now what you're creating, is this something that you strategize to do it, or does it like start your life becomes a field of magic and the miracles happen, or do you intentionally, or at least with your clients, or is it both that the creation becomes intentional, or you just experience magic and miracles all the way
So
through?
yeah, it's not a strategy.
Mm,
No, 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 not a strategy. This is why, like, it's, in the whole personal development world, you've got coaches who do the most magical things, the most incredible successes, and they have clients to share their strategies. And then it doesn't always work. And the poor coach who's brilliant gets like people saying they're useless, I paid them a lot of money and all that. It's because that is their truth. Right. And sometimes then they'll have clients that will understand that that's their truth, and they will use that guidance, but in a way that is their truth.
mm,
You can't take somebody's blueprint and do it yourself. That's an identity you're trying to take on and own. It is about moving on awareness, and we don't know where awareness is going to take us. And this is about dancing in the symphony of the unknown.
that is that is so beautiful. The symphony, the dance of the unknown. It can feel so scary for the people who are so used to things need to be predictable, things I need to know if something is going to work, if I'm actually going to put my effort and energy into it. But like you said, what is effort if you're one? What is if you're
You don't
divinity?
have that. You don't
Divinity,
have that doubt.
you don't
You
have.
don't have those questions. You don't have that fear. All of that is energetic interference, not you, not yours, never was, never will be. It's not your truth. If you are the all that is, and you are that, you live that, you own that, you are that. You don't
Yeah.
have to put it on. You don't have to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to put on this, I'm one with everything. I moved like that today. You don't do that because you are that. And that there is no uncertainty, there is no fear in that frequency. There is just truth, trust, conviction, love, unconditional love. That's all there is there. There's no fear. How could there be fear? It's a false construct. It's a distortion. It creates reality distortions. I'm currently going through a 30-day slay fear and uncertainty challenge with clients, right? And what is falling away from their field is just incredible. It's just magical. When you start to see fear and uncertainty for the nasty piggy bee that it is, it has no more power over you and cannot. We are the all that is. We are untouchable, unstoppable. There is no mortal thing that we can experience, whether it be energy, an event, a person, no matter what it is, that is not greater than we are. When you embody that, when you are that, when you live by that, magic and miracles are inevitable.
That is so potent. And you said something about we are here to experience duality. We are here to experience inhuman experience. Would you say that things that happen, like losing a loved one, or um, you know, let's say natural event happens, a tornado, or whatever it is, then from that standpoint of where you are and how you see your unity and your connection with divine, how do you process that without it not shaking everything for you or not feeling, basically how do you process grief, or do you even experience grief when you're in that consciousness?
Okay, so this is another part of a whole discussion as well. Okay, so I'll just touch on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, we have this conversation frequently in the Cosmic Tribe. And yes, you can experience grief and you can experience sadness. You can experience like, you can experience empathy, but you don't entangle in it.
Mm.
There's a huge difference. Pain and suffering are not a symbiotic relationship, yet we've been conditioned and trained and programmed to believe they are. They're not. Pain is inevitable, suffering is not. So you can feel the grief, and it's important to feel that grief. It needs to flow through your body. Otherwise, it gets trapped in your body, creating inflammation, decay, and aging in body. Feel it. It's appropriate. But you don't entangle. Big difference.
When you say entangle, is that the meaning giving? That's the part.
Angles, like align and agree, resist and react, make up stories, lean in, you make a meaning to it, and all this, and then all the
Yeah.
trauma and drama. Because when we are free of entanglement, you see, just to go back, we're here to transcend duality. Okay? So when we do that, you feel empathy, you feel compassion, you feel love, you feel all that thing. Because in that field of the unknown, where that truth exists, where those frequencies are, there is infinite possibilities. And you receive awareness. Okay, so a tornado happened, right? Instead of entangling with all the noise and all the suffering and all that sort of stuff, you see it, you observe it. You feel the grief, you feel the sadness, you feel the loss, you feel it all. You let it flow through, you don't suppress it, you experience it. You don't entangle. And then, with all the possibilities, you are open to what awareness energy frequency can be in body be to powerfully serve in this environment. Or what can I, what is the greatest, most powerful move I could make that will transcend, transform, transmute this to something else? Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's not about not caring. It's not about not helping. It's not about not changing. It's not about not being a caring, loving human being. It's not about that. It's about absolutely being that no matter what. Coming from unconditional love no matter what. It's from that place. But the moment we lock into the suffering, now all of a sudden you're shut down and you're limited only by the identity that is in that construct that you're living by. And that is only in the known. Any identity, any interference, any program, any condition can only draw from the known. And all that we know about the known is it creates more of the same.
That's so incredibly important. And I'm really glad that we're having this conversation because for the longest time, even in my own stories, like it felt like the only way that it would prove that I care is that if I suffer along with those who are suffering, or if I'm destroyed, if a loved one is gone. But it just, there's, I think Dr. Wayne Dyer said you can't be poor enough to help the poor in the world, and you can't be sick enough to help the ones that are sick as well. So that brings me to I don't want to take too much of your time, so I want to be respectful of that. To that, does then the material things follow after that? Let's say, when you are get rid of all the interference and you are really tapping into that true divinity, then does the money follow? Does the abundance follow there?
Whatever's in your field will come through.
Mm.
And my experience is it's always prosperity comes through in all ways. Always. I've seen it over and over and over and over again. I've had clients thinking about one particular client who was struggling in the business, and she worked with people, female entrepreneurs, to help them scale their business. And it was hell on earth for her. And I knew straight away, I could see straight away, I'm able to see everybody's blueprint. I can see what it is. As clear as day, I can see it. And I was saying to her, stop your thing, stop it. And she wouldn't hear me. And eventually, she just surrendered. Well, now, she is traveling the world. She's empowering people magically through her love of water. She is creating portals of creation for her clients in flow, in grace, in beauty, in awe, and in magic. She has everything. She is prosperous in all ways.
Wow. Well, that is so profound, and I'm so grateful for you doing the work that you do. It really does liberate so many from suffering and then the ripple effect of it. So that's just so freaking magical. So thank you
That's
for
what, just one thing, what you just said, the ripple effect. This is the most profound. This is what I love most about this, actually, is the ripple effect. Because I have mothers that I'm working with, that we clear all the interference. The ripple effect of that is the children. Because children will express what we suppress. And children will express it in ways that shut down their body. So it makes them sick. They get ill, they get diseases, they get all sorts of allergies and all this sort of stuff as they're expressing what their parents are repressing. So we're clearing, working with parents, and their children are clearing of all the things. And they know how to speak to their children so that the children are empowered to clear that themselves. So we've got children who with chronic allergies, chronic breathing issues, chronic acne, you name it. And it just gets cleared.
I don't think I'm ever going to forget what you just said. Children will express what we suppress. And I think that brings a next level of responsibility for us to be doing the work because what we want our children to express is not our suffering, not what we are. We're constantly. Yeah, that's so huge. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Judy, if you could have that little girl just before she was 15-year-old and saw herself in that mirror, if she could see you right now, what do you think, how do you think she would feel and what do you think she would say?
Just before the experience.
Yeah,
No, not possible. But after, no doubt.
no
Not
doubt.
whatsoever.
She was like, of course. Of course.
Yes.
That is
Inevitable.
ine-
Inevitable.
inevitable. Oh, yes, that's it. That's what I think all of us want, that inevitable pure joy, success, peace, happiness, abundance, prosperity, just love, that love. And I can feel that unconditional love just as speaking to you. So it just comes through so strongly, so strongly.
Mm.
Judy, your work is exceptional. You know, obviously it's unconventional, and that's what we're here for. And I know that our audience would love to enter your world and get immersed by what you do. So where can they connect with you and how can they basically enter your world?
So I'm on Facebook primarily. So look me up, Judy V, Judy van Niekerk, Attuned to Prosperity. Um, and there is a webinar that I have made available, which I call the Unconventional Perspective on Healing, which they can go and check out and hear some of my crazy unconventional perspectives. So
Well, I love that. We will have all the links if available for them so to come and find you on Facebook and then get their hands on unconventional healing because conventional ways are just not it anymore for any of us. So thank you so much for your work, for your energy, for being here, and for blessing us with your incredible power and awakening it in us as well.
thank you so much. And thank you for holding this incredible summit as well, Shadrad. Really phenomenal. Thank you.
My pleasure.